no radio at all. Not even with the bombing plane that's coming over. All radio is dead.
It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
We're going to make you one of the rising up.
All right, welcome to Horror of the Worlds, where we talk about horror movies and the influences that they have had on the world itself and how they interacted with each other. I'm Curtis Gerhardt, and
I'm Stephen Miller.
And here, this isn't a movie review podcast, but we will review movies. I mean,
there's horror.
Yeah, pretty much anything that is horror or horror adjacent. We will talk about little bit of sci-fi for the most part. This is our passion of movies, from anything and everything. Hopefully, this is gonna be fun editing. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a background on us. For the most part, what our interests are, pretty much our favorite movies for the most part, what they influenced, and just our background for the most part.
Yeah.
You want to kick off? What's your your first favorite movie?
First favorite movie that I ever saw was John Carpenter's The Thing, and it was all about the movie makeup, the creation. Anytime a movie has to build something just to simply destroy it on set, that's the shit I'm after when I watch a movie. And horror movies did it the best.
You can't go wrong with that stuff. I mean, just everyone knows, was it Rob Bottin? His special effects are just fucking chef's kiss to begin
Absolutely.
with. But I mean, the movie is, the special effects what make it scary.
Yeah.
Even down to when Kurt Russell and everyone just just kind of turn around and watch a fucking little spider head crawling away. What the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
You can't get that out of fucking CGI. You can't get that out of the remake, prequel, whatever the fuck anyone wants to call that shit,
right,
for the most part. Figure we'll kind of bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
Honestly, I wish I could have gone a little bit less. All right, my favorite one that always kind of hits the top 5 for me is Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, Wes Craven's. It is a toss up between that one and New Nightmare. Yeah. Because I fucking do love New Nightmare so much. Even before it had its renaissance of it's a hidden gem. It's always been a fucking gem.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry about that. But no, it's a freaking scary ass movie. I remember it's one of the first movies that gave me nightmares for the most part. It's
good job. Yeah.
I blame my brother for me falling in love with it because he scared the crap out of me with it so much. But yeah, just the simple effects, the dark humor that was in it before he got even more slapstick humor for the most part.
Yeah.
But it's honestly arguably kind of debatable. Probably one of Wes Craven's better movies.
I'd have to agree with that.
Summer of Fear is fucking great. Wrong Turns, fucking not Wrong Turn, fucking Last House on the Left is freaking great. But
that one's perfect. He did it right.
I went to go see it in the theaters last year around Halloween and stuff, and still seeing people showing up to that and actually jumping at some of the scares. Actually, I did the same thing with the Thing. I think last year during Father's Day or some shit. It was, people are still freaking jumping at that movie, even though it's been out for fucking almost 40 years now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Another good thing about The Thing, I love it when a horror movie can mix in a bit of comedy, and I feel like that movie did it perfect. Really,
it's not bam in your face, but it's just there, it gives you enough taste to fucking love it. What's your number 2?
Oh, without a doubt, Wolfman. The remake in particular. The original one was pretty good. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like it. But I felt like the storyline was incomplete. It felt like they had to cram too much into a smaller time frame because movies back then weren't that long.
You're talking about the one with, was it Lon Chaney?
My favorite one is the Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins. I like the way they captured everything from the mood lighting and all that stuff. They put it in a darker era, so the jump scares, what's lurking in the night. It felt a little bit more natural when you were watching it. It wasn't like, oh, it was a bright room 10 seconds ago and now it's pitch black. What the fuck?
I think it was like more gothic based
Yes,
too, if I'm not mistaken.
Definitely more gothic based.
Like honestly, it was one of those movies I did turn on, but I was with someone that was wasn't in the mood to watch it, so that's where it stopped. I haven't went back to it. Not because of the movie itself, it's just I seriously need to give that another shot.
Oh, definitely. As soon as you can, man. All-star cast as well. I mean, they didn't go wrong with that one at all.
You can't go wrong with Benicio del Toro as well, though. I mean, fuck, he's pretty freaking amazing enough as it is.
Yeah.
All right, well, since we're going a little bit classics, I'm going to go back with one of my actual favorites is Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yes.
Universal monsters, you cannot really go wrong with it. I mean, they're fun and enjoyable. Honestly, one of the things I kind of figured out recently too was it was, besides it being the only Universal monster to really not be a book compared to a Wolfman, the Invisible Man, Dracula, all those movies that everyone knows were based off of books, novels.
Right.
Creature from Black Lagoon wasn't, and it was made by a woman.
That is
to me, that's pretty badass. But also, a show of the times was she was going out doing all the meet and greets for the most part and all that shit. And one of the execs or whatever at Universal hated it that it was a woman that was getting all this attention. Pretty much killed her off, and she's like,
"What the fuck, dude? What the fuck,
dude? That's what it is, man. It sucks so much." I have her name written down. It's Millicent Patrick. I know I'm probably butchering it, but I mean, it's just kind of hearing that. It's a sign of the times, where that was just, I think, almost kind of common.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, well, all right. Well, besides that part, I mean, I fucking love it because I always felt like I had a lot in common with the creature, just as how I perceive myself as this hideous freaking chud for the most part, and it's just you have beauty and you have this world, everyone living life, for the most part, just out there. And it's just at grasp, I mean, it's that one scene that is extremely common where, oh gosh, where she's swimming and stuff, doing all the backstrokes, and you just see the gill man or the creature, however one wants to hear it, just going up and just wanting to touch a foot and touches it. She whimpers and scares away and stuff. And it's that's why I don't touch women anymore, because they just run from me. But yeah, I'll let you. What's your number 3?
Number 3 it's a hard one for me to decide. I'm a big fan of horror comedies. So when I say Chucky, the whole Chucky series is fantastic. But for some reason, I think it was because when it was released was when I was on my horror movie tangent or starting it, was The Bride of Chucky. And that's where the comedy really picked up. He had another character to kind of bounce things off of. The kills were a lot more fun and creative and stuff like that. And it was a killer soundtrack. I mean, that shit was just awesome. I think
that was around the same time where the whole industry kind of had that actual metal, industrial metal. I feel almost scene coming along with it. And that was
Wayne Static was in every soundtrack.
You can't go wrong with Wayne Static, man. God rest his soul. Yeah. But no, I mean, that movie was even freaking great. I mean, how it was The Bride of Chucky. It was just it was The Bride of Frankenstein for the most part. There was so much similarities between the two.
Yeah, they even noted it in the movie.
Yeah,
that's how they started it out.
You can't really go wrong. I know I brought this up to you before, but not to them. If it's still recording. But it's I feel other than Saw, maybe. Where they had Tobin Bell be in pretty much all of them except for Spiral. I almost felt this is kind of going off tangent. We almost did this on a different episode. Cut. No. No. Is Don Mancini has been the only connective tissue throughout all those movies when you have all these other franchises that haven't had a connective tissue for the most part. I mean, you have Robert Englund being in almost every Freddy Krueger movie. Even this, I should say series, because even that TV show and the commercials and all that stuff. But
yeah,
Don Mancini has been behind the scenes with all of it. You have Brad Dourif that's been pretty much behind all of it, except for the Chucky.
Mark Hamill, voiced remake.
Which I still need to rewatch. I
thought it was actually really funny. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say it belongs to me. it's different, but I thought it was funny. I went in there thinking nothing of it, and I was pleasantly surprised. So
I need to give it a
there's
shot.
nothing like the classics, but that one was refreshing a little bit. They updated the way Chucky fucks shit up, and
Especially like Mark Hamill. I feel like he's not the reason why that movie didn't do the way it did.
no.
All right. Well, I guess my number 3 is something that could be kind of hot button for the most part. Is Jurassic Park being a horror movie?
Fuck yeah! All right, that's one of those. So there are like a few introduction things that got me into it. Ghostbusters was one of those introductions, and Jurassic Park was definitely one of the ones.
Ghostbusters. Oh man. But yes.
The chase scene, it had me on the edge of my seat the whole time. Of course, even as a kid, I'm like, "Oh, catch up! Don't catch up."
That was like one of the things. Even when I was a kid, like I used to fast forward on the freaking VHS tape. Like the whole Velociraptor scene in the very beginning, like where just Flash is going off and all that stuff. There's no freaking Velociraptors except for the claw I think you saw.
Yeah.
But that scared the shit out of me so much as a kid. I fast forwarded through that, man. Like that is such a bad scene, but it is just. I feel like that's just kind of like solidifies it as a horror. Like as you get older, I mean, it's not so much of a horror anymore. It's more of a. Yeah, fuck it, man. It's a freaking horror.
I feel like every once in a while, it feels like it goes 5 years, and then all of a sudden I hear something new about that movie, like how the T-Rex sound and shit like that. I didn't know that low growl was from a damn koala. It's still intimidating when I hear it, but
that was almost the thing too, because I think I remember watching one of the special features where they mixed it with like a rhino and a lion or something like that. Then recently it was like a koala. I'm like, I don't know what to believe anymore.
So it was the low growl. It was definitely a koala, and I heard they had bits of a train in there because that the track, the way the brakes squeal on the track and stuff like that. It had the high end. He was changing the pitch of like several different things. But the reason why I said koala and know that one is because the guy that did the audio recording verified that low pitch growl was definitely something he stole from koala.
Like that, I know when I saw the videos, I'm like, the koala makes so much sense, and it's like. This giant freaking actual T-Rex, because they didn't build like a fake I mean, it's a fake T-Rex, but they didn't build a fake CGI T-Rex. It was a fucking water-sogged freaking foam or like polyurethane. I can't remember, like T-Rex. That shit.
They put a lot of effort in that shit.
And that was voiced by a little koala.
A little koala.
Oh, shit. But yeah, it's just... Oh, man, I freaking...
When that movie came out, that's when I got my my first horror movie that I saw. At that time, I'm pretty sure my parents wouldn't have let me watch that one knowing it was a horror, but they clearly let me watch that shit anyway. But at the same time that came out, I then saw Arachnophobia and Poltergeist back to back because my mom's a horror fan, and Poltergeist was innocent enough. But I liked it because I was into Muppets and things like that at the time, and the way they made the ghosts and things like that in Poltergeist was with puppets and animation and stuff like that. So it was creepy, but not so scary that you ran out of the room crying or some shit like that.
Right.
But Arachnophobia definitely stuck with me. I mean,
that's one I wanted to watch when I was younger because I loved like the Eight-Legged Freaks when it was like on all the time on I think like HBO or Showtime. I can't remember, or Stars. Like I love that movie, but like always hearing all like the not the negative aspects of Arachnophobia. Like I'm saying negative because of like how freaking scary, and it will give you, if you're not traumatized from spiders or you don't have arachnophobia, you will get it from that movie. Yeah. Like I'm already going with spiders to begin with, but that movie.
That's one of those ones I feel like could get remade. Arachnophobia or Eight-Legged Freaks even. I mean, Eight-Legged Freaks was hilarious, and it wasn't like done over the top in my opinion. It felt like the CGI wasn't so incredibly great, but if they made it a little bit more realistic, that'd be
like
killer.
With practical effects nowadays too, that would be like chef's freaking kiss. I guess next we'll go on to our favorite like horror genre, like the actual meat of the whole like genre. What is your favorite?
Comedy horror for sure, but monster flicks is definitely something I focus on more. If you can have comedy in a monster flick, more power to you, but that's really hard sometimes, it feels like.
Well, I'm kind of curious if you came across I guess more sci-fi than horror, but was it Colossal or Colossus?
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that one yet. I definitely have it on my watch list.
That movie, it's not like a straight up like Shaun of the Dead kind of like comedy horror sci-fi, but it is definitely has its kicks and like moments of like it's actually pretty comical in its own way, and it's like it's monsters, man. I think you would actually thoroughly enjoy that movie. I don't want to like spoil any of it because I mean it is like once you're watching it, you're just like, all right, this movie's freaking awesome, you know. And it just continues going and going and going. But like, what kind of monsters?
Werewolves.
Like-
Werewolves that's my shit. I like a lot of the original monsters for Universal, but the two that stood out to me when I was growing up and stuff, it was Frankenstein and Wolfman in particular. And I've only seen Frankenstein done justice maybe once or twice since then. The monster itself it's cool. It just feels like, I don't know, they can make it a little bit more terrifying, a little less relatable, or
Right.
you know what I mean? Like they kind of made it a tearjerker, and it all makes sense and why they did it that way. But the way they remade Wolfman, they took a whole new angle at it, and I feel like with the remake they're currently making, I think they're going to do it again. They're going to take it from yet another angle. If update the storyline or something.
That would be like that's one thing. I'm all for remakes, but freaking take that. Like, take that. Like going up with Marilyn Manson, you know, Hot Button, whatever. I guess, you know, it's like when he did like was it Smells Like Teen Spirit? Oh, not
Sweet Dreams.
Sweet Dreams, and he did a couple other ones. You know, I mean, it's just when he does a cover, like he just doesn't do a cover. He kind of takes it and makes it his own variation of that song, which I feel like an artist should.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know whenever I think of monsters, I always think of like Godzilla and like those kind of creatures, you know what I mean? But it's kind of funny. You and I were like the exact opposites. With you being Frankenstein and Wolfman, mine was always like Dracula and like Gilman. Oh, yeah. Like, it's just, no one loves Invisible Man, I guess, apparently, or Phantom of the Opera.
Everybody that was a huge fan of it, and he particularly likes the scene where he starts losing his shit and taking off his clothes and starts throwing shit and flipping the tables. That was hilarious.
The special effects, man. Plus, he has like the highest kill count of any villain ever.
Yeah.
Like he killed like 10,000 or something like that people on a train. Yeah,
that was another great remake too. The Hollow Man was great.
All right,
Kevin Bacon.
I was gonna say, which one are we going with?
Kevin Bacon. Yeah, the newest one was all right. I liked it, but I didn't like it as much as I liked the Hollow Man. And I think that's because
especially a rapey Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, it was all fucking creepy. There was something about it. I think it hit at that time frame. Once again, that was one of those movies. It's just, I don't know. I felt like it was done with the right amount of everything.
It had proper energy for the most part. Like I haven't seen it since I was a freaking teenager.
Yeah,
some odd years ago. But like I just remember, like it was actually kind of like awesome, like how they actually showed him breaking down from like his skin down to his like veins to his muscles and his bones, and it was just like that's how he disappeared instead of like I don't know, like it was just actually a really awesome take on it. Like I have it and I still need to rewatch it. It's been far too long.
Oh, there's a whole. It feels like that time frame with like 13 Ghosts and shit like that. Like they just pumped them out, and they had to have a good soundtrack with each one of them. They really knew it. It felt like
Ghost Ship, even Wax House, or House of Wax.
House of Wax. Yeah.
I mean,
watch it just to watch Parasite.
I was gonna say,
for some reason. I was like, all right, yeah.
That's one thing. Like as much as that, like she's also in one of my kind of favorite movies as well. Oh my god. Fucking Repo, the Genetic Opera.
Oh yeah, all right.
Like I don't hate that she's in it, but I mean, she doesn't make the movie bad.
Yeah, right.
Like,
I feel like she's got a place in horror, man. I mean,
unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, yes. But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, like my favorite genre is like 80s slashers.
Slashers, all right. Yeah, I mean, can't go wrong with that. There's a lot to pick from on that.
Like that's the thing. Like it's for me, I can't just like say like this. Like I love even like the bad ones, like the ones that like the storyline is just to get the villain to go kill people, show tits, just kind of like,
right, yeah,
like a movie with like pointless blood,
yeah,
fucking like random tits in it for no goddamn reason, and just maybe a storyline, you know,
maybe,
yeah.
It's
like, hey, we got some kills, like why don't they have? They're lovers, okay, that's good enough. Like to me, I think that's made my love of like actual bad B-rated movies for the most part. Like just I don't know, it's just fun pleasure for the most part.
I feel like that's the benefit of liking horror comedy so much. B-rated movies never something to shy away from.
I think that's one of the things.
You'll
too.
catch a gem.
That's kind of it, because like I think that kind of helps open up like that barrier too of just kind of like, all right, this movie. The movie itself is horrible, but goddamn, it's so bad. It's so funny. Like it's so great, and it's just like it's enjoyable at that point.
It's how the Evil Dead got it, right? I mean,
they hit the nail on the head so freaking hard, and it worked. I mean, look at them. I mean, they're making freaking, Marvel movies now.
yeah.
I mean, from something where they couldn't get any funding for a movie, from like Dentist and all this shit, down to Marvel.
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking hell, man. All right. Honestly, my first, we're going to talk about like our first like horror movie memory for the most part. Like at least our first movie we remember watching or whatever, just like that little influence. And oddly enough, mine was The Birds from Alfred Hitchcock. Yeah. Like I remember just kind of flipping through the channels or something like that, wanting to watch something different. And like with my mom, and she like stopped and was like, "Hey, let's watch this." I was like, "What is it?" She's like, "Oh, it's like a scary movie." I'm like, "Okay." Like I didn't want to watch it. Like I was like, I didn't want to watch a scary movie. And then she was talking about like how, oh yeah, the birds like in the distance they were made of chocolate chips or something like that falling. And I'm like, oh, as a kid that was like awesome. Like I was like, oh okay, like chocolate chips, like where is it and all this stuff. But honestly, I could never find anything saying that they were chocolate chips. So I'm kind of curious if there was some kind of miscommunication that she heard from like Psycho from the Hershey syrup, and just like, oh, Alfred Hitchcock loves chocolate or some shit. I mean, who knows? But I mean, like that stuff's given me nightmares too as a kid. Was freaking crows and ravens, and it's just that movie is actually pretty still like actually thrilling.
No, plenty of people that still call it one of their. They actually are terrified of birds because of that shit. I'm like, what? It did not give me that vibe, but I get it.
But that's the thing. There's never an answer on why they went bad.
Yeah.
Even at the end of the movie, like they're still bad, angry, freaking birds, and it's just like, oh, apparently there's a sequel to it that I've never seen.
I've never seen that. No.
But I mean, who fucking knows?
Yeah.
Like, maybe I might eventually watch it. But yeah, I don't even know if you'd want to. It's a horror movie.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be like more than thriller. Because I mean, Alfred Hitchcock isn't really. All right, is he a horror director or not? When he's only made like 2 or 3 movies that are kind of like horror thriller.
I mean, I feel like he's kind of like Twilight Zone kind of horror, right? Like,
okay,
it would be really disturbing if this shit happened in real life, but he's usually not dealing with a bunch of monsters or anything like that. Just your typical serial killers or weird occurrences and things like that.
No, I
mean, I still consider him a horror director, though, for sure.
I get that completely.
It was a different time frame. They had to portray horror in a different way. Almost everything was a little bit more PG as far as scary goes back then.
Well, that, and he took a new approach to like suspense. Because I remember like him saying that, like, all right, you're on a bus. The audience knows that there's a bomb under the seat, but the actors don't, or the people don't. So like you have that sense of like that suspense of like, wait, they don't know about it. It's going to explode, but when is it going to explode?
Right.
So, like, you're a different type. I was like, oh, that's always pretty interesting. Oh, all right. I'm glad we cut shit out. All this dead air. All right, so what made you fall in love with horror movies? Like, why did you fall in love?
It started out with Goosebumps, required reading in school and shit like that. And then, it was one of those things my mom's like, all right, you could choose from this area. Goosebumps was on the shelf. And, of course, I picked up the one about the mask. And that was definitely where my mom was then like, okay, so maybe we can introduce you to some things. And that's how I got to watch Poltergeist and Arachnophobia. It was a back-to-back thing kind of shown on one of the new TV networks, probably Fox or some shit. I just sat there and watched it with my parents on the couch.
I wish I would have remembered that one as an influence, because that was a big one, too, was the books. Like, actually, do you ever... I know you're a little bit older than me, but... Like at least in elementary school, they had these books called Eek or something like that. Eek. Like they were just like short little stories. I mean, they were probably like 15, maybe like 25 pages long, but they were spooky stories for the most part. And I think that was actually, honestly, I didn't think about that until right now, until you brought up Goosebumps, and I just jogged up those memories.
There's a whole bunch of things back there. I kept trying to watch certain things, but I kept getting told that I can't. That's out of my age bracket or some shit like that. Like, Creep Show. I mean, of course, you got animated or talking puppets and shit like that. I'm like, yeah, I can watch that. And there's like,
Right.
oh, that's too scary, or it's on way too late, past your bedtime, shit like that. I was like, no,
I feel like that's how a lot of people get started with it. Like,
Tales from the Crypt.
like honestly, like oddly enough, I mean, other than Nightmare on Elm Street, is Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh,
This is kind of weird because I remember always trying to find it. I tried to watch it. Like I was too young to actually pay attention to what time it was actually on and what channel it was on. I just remember channel surfing and just coming across it. And I think that what kind of started my love on comedy horror to begin with, like comedy and like movies and like commentaries. But I started enjoying horror movies more because I watched those and they would usually make fun of them, and I just started enjoying it on a different level.
Yeah,
to be odd enough. And I think that kind of helped transgress to like Joe Bob and even like Elvira and stuff, like where they just kind of give this commentary. But it's just like I also remember that's what helped push me to start like in A Creature from the Black Lagoon, because I remember on some of the intros they had the gill man swimming in the camera and all that stuff. I'm like, what movie is that? What movie is that? Because I didn't know, and so I was just like constantly watch it. Hopefully that episode would come on. It never did, so I ended up having to buy that shit. Yeah, but. Which is actually, I think, Clint Eastwood's like one of his first movies too. Like he has a short little comedic stint, like in it. Like he's, I think it's like the third Creature from Black Lagoon movie.
Oh wow!
Where,
a sequel on top of that? Wow.
Yes, like he was a freaking doctor, like having a lab coat and stuff. And I can't remember like his line, but he's like, "Oh, there's a freaking mouse in my lab coat," and just pulls out this little lab rat and stuff. I was like, it's such a throwaway line, but it's just kind of one of those weird fucking things, man. But yeah, oh man. You have anything else you want to add to this? Like, what are we? Who we are?
Oh, all things horror is exactly what we are. From action figures, movies, anything you can really collect.
Yeah, just pretty much all the influences on horror. Like everything about it, man.
Absolutely.
I mean, it runs deep in capitalism and in my blood.
Right.
Unfortunately, the two go hand in hand, man. So freaking much. Well, shit. I guess there you have it. That's what we're about. That's kind of what we're going to try to talk about a little bit. Hopefully you guys enjoy, and we see you guys soon. Follow us on Horror the Worlds, where, we horror a problem. Oh, I'm bringing that shit back. All right, man. And let's try to stop.